It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That's brand new stuff from a band called Blacktop Mojo. You probably recognize that song, not from Blacktop Mojo. That is, of course, Aerosmith, or not Aerosmith. It's Blacktop Mojo doing Aerosmith's Dream On. Sometimes it's easy to mix up because these guys got that sound. But on the line right now, we have got the vocalist of Blacktop Mojo. We've got Matt James. Matt, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Excellent, dude. Well, dude, I got to tell you up front, I discovered your band in the cheesy way that I think a lot of people are discovering your band by simply hearing the Dream On cover and going, who the hell is that? You know, it's a cool song. It's a cool vibe. It follows the lead of an all-time classic song, but at the same time, it showcases your band. So, you know, bravo to you guys for taking such a jump.
Thanks, man. We had a good time cutting that one.
Sure. Well, Matt, why don't we start for fans that are not aware of your band, which I would be one of them. You know, tell us a little bit about your band. You know, how you got started, who's in the band, et cetera, et cetera.
We got started. We're from a small town in Texas called Palestine, Texas. It's about 2 hours south of Dallas and 2 hours north of Houston, so middle of nowhere, if you can find that on the map.
Right.
We got started after I graduated college. I was working in a coffee shop here in town. My buddy's uncle gave me a job managing the coffee shop was first and foremost, but I was more interested in, he was letting me book acoustic acts at the coffee shop. And whenever I couldn't find anybody, he'd let me play instead of make coffee. So I didn't find anybody a lot of the time.
Right.
So that I could do that. But our drummer, Nathan, we had some mutual friends and stuff, and they told him, you know, you got to go check this guy out, because he'd always talked about starting a band and stuff.
Okay.
Never got the opportunity, but he came in one night, and he watched me play and invited me back to his house after that. And he had a drum kit set up in his living room, and he started going off on the drum kit, and I was like, hey, man, let's start a band.
All right.
You know? And then called up a buddy of mine from high school that I knew was in a bunch of metal bands when we were in high school, so I knew he could play guitar really well, Kenneth Irwin. And then the three of us just started jamming at the coffee shop after it closed down, and kind of snowballed. We started playing shows, and here we are.
Sure. Now, when you first were getting started, were you always trying to do original material, or did you start off doing covers and it kind of grew into it?
We started off actually playing country music. That's pretty popular around here. Most of the venues around here are, you know, kind of honky-tonk type places or dance halls or stuff like that. So we started playing Texas country covers and old country covers and stuff like that. It's how we started getting shows. And we started writing. We had a little bit of original material, but not much when we first started. And then as we started writing, we're all big rock fans, of course. Sure. And then as we started writing, it just started getting heavier and heavier. And we had about 14 songs after a while, and decided to go cut our first album, and decided to be a rock band because all the songs we wrote were rock songs.
Right. So. Well, that's cool. Was it difficult at that point? And I'm only going that was what, like 2013, 2014, correct?
Yeah. We started in late 2012, and then I think we cut our first record at the beginning of 2014. So
okay. Now
there's a little bit of jumping around, playing all kinds of different shows and stuff in between there. So.
Sure. Now, when you guys did start playing more, you know, when you started playing gigs with the music that you wrote, was it difficult to find gigs? Because you know as well as I do these days, club owners want you to play cover songs so that everybody comes in and drinks a lot, and they really don't. They don't give you guys a whole lot of opportunity to stretch out and show people, you know, your own music these days.
For sure, it was difficult at first. It's kind of a different world, you know. I mean, going from booking country bars to to rock clubs, you know, kind of had to relearn where to go, where to play, and stuff like that. But a lot of the bars around here in locally were pretty supportive of us and our original stuff, and they'd let us come, you know, play in the country bars and play rock music. So
right.
it was a pretty fun little adventure trying to cross over into the rock world.
Sure, definitely. Now,
Yeah.
you know, with the bar scene, man, I don't know how it is there. I know here it's as dead as a cemetery most nights for original bands. You know, is it? Did you find that people were discovering the band and were like, "Hey, do you have music to buy, or where can I read about you online?" Or was it really just a slow build where you're literally shaking every hand and asking them to come back to the next gig, wherever that might be?
It's a little bit of both. Of course, we started with our friends and family, you know, and then they liked coming out to see us play, so they'd bring more friends, and you know, we tried to meet everybody we could and make friends with them. So eventually, we had, you know, 100 friends in a bar, you know,
right,
for a show. And then the internet. I mean, we've been helped out a lot by the internet and the modern way of doing things. We've had people from all over the world reach out to us and, you know, ask, "Hey, can I buy your CD?" or "Will you guys ship a CD to Europe or wherever?"
Right.
And it's been pretty cool, man.
Sure, definitely. Well, dude, let's talk a little bit about your album, Burn the Ships. It's the new release. It's what I think is coolest about it is there's a lot of flavors to it. There's certainly some very hard rockin' metal stuff in it, but then there's the almost at the middle of the record 80s ballad with a song like Prodigal that is just you know, is very much a ballad, you know, a power ballad, but it's balladic in that method. Was that a purpose move because that's the way you grew up making records, or is that just a song that just sort of fit there?
I think it was definitely a purpose move. I grew up listening to a lot of the 80s metal and stuff. You know, my mom is a huge hair metal fan. All and right. So, I mean, I was exposed to it my whole life. But we like mixing it up, too. I mean, you know, sometimes some songs call for a little bit of a softer touch.
Sure.
And, you know, you can't headbang for you can headbang for 13 songs, but your neck's going to get sore, you know what I mean? So,
right.
No.
Certainly, man. Now, dude, listening to your album and listening to the first one as well, it's very clear that some of the guys in the band are old school guys, like you said, you were exposed to it yourself. But someone in the band has that modern flavor to them where they don't think there was music before, I don't know, Chevelle or Incubus or Breaking Benjamin or whatever. Who
we got a little bit of everything, man.
I was going to say there's got to be somebody in the band that is the modern guy. Is there? Or is it all of you have the wider spectrum?
All of us definitely have the modern touch. Like I grew up, one of my favorite bands when I was in high school was Shinedown.
Right.
And our drummer is a big Tool fan. But, I mean, all the guys in the band we range everywhere from old school country to hardcore metal, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And, I mean, everything in between. So I like to think we get a little bit of all those flavors in our stuff.
Certainly. And you certainly do, man. As somebody that's listened to it, it's... What's cool is it doesn't sound, and you know, I obviously hear 1 million records a month, and
sure.
And by hearing a lot of the different ones, I get to hear a lot of people that are trying to hit a mark, so to speak, whether it's hitting a certain style or finding their place within a style or trying to sound like another band or whatever.
Sure.
You can point to pieces of Burn the Ships and say, okay, well, that reminds me a little bit of Alter Bridge, or that reminds me a little bit of something heavier than that, you know, and this one reminds me of something minor. But it doesn't sound like it's planned. It just sounds like you guys write tunes and they fit wherever they fit musically, but they almost, by not having a true definition, that is the definition of your sound. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd say that comes from our writing process. It's pretty organic. We all write in a room together.
Okay.
You know, and, we're not a jam band per se, but I mean, it'll happen pretty organically. You know, somebody will come with a riff idea or a lyric idea or just a melody, and one guy will start, and you know, another guy will add something, and then we find something in there we like, and we keep it and build on it, and just kind of put it together.
Sure. As
a group. So I think, and then yeah, it fits where it may, man. It might be a soft song, it might be a hard one, but it's all from us. So we figured all can go on the same CD, you know.
Absolutely, man. Now I have to imagine that when you went into the studio for the first release, you know, you learned a million things that you didn't know when you were recording.
Oh, yeah.
Did you find yourself taking those lessons and bringing them to Burn the Ships, or did you find yourself saying, okay, well, that was that, and now we're going to take it up 10 notches, especially with some of the guys that you worked with, especially Jimmy Johnson, you know, on the new record? Because I got to imagine working with him, the first thing he probably wants you to do is forget everything you've learned. This is how we're going to do it.
Actually, Jimmy came in. We had the same producer on I Am as we did on Burn the Ships.
Okay.
Philip Mosley. He's a local guy around here that we became good friends with, and he's worked with us. But we definitely learned a million things doing I Am. It was our first time in the studio, in any kind of big studio setting, you know. And for that record, we'd only prepared, I mean, we had the songs written and things, but we only did pre-production and like really organized it out for probably 3 weeks beforehand. And then we went in and recorded it in about a week. And then for Burn the Ships, we had a lot longer in between to write, and we did pre-production pretty much the whole time we were writing. You know, we get an idea, and then we get in our little home studio over here and lay down the idea, so we didn't lose it really fast, you know.
Right.
But we worked with Philip the whole time, guy from our first record, and Jimmy really left a lot of wiggle room for Philip, and I mean, he wasn't a tyrant by any means. He was very supportive of the way we did things, and Jimmy's really all about letting the artist be the artist, you know, and giving advice here and there, and you know, letting the song take shape as it's supposed to, and it's a really cool experience. We learned a lot from him and his engineer Steve Melton, who also worked at the Muscle Shoals Sound Studio for the Rolling Stones and Skinner and Bob Seger and all those guys.
When you hear those names, and this is the guy that you're working with, who's been associated with those names, is that not even the least little bit intimidating, though?
It definitely was at first. We were pretty nervous when we first started off, but you know, as we went throughout the day, the first session, and we got to know them. I mean, they're pretty normal guys. They're pretty down to earth, and they just like making music. So I mean, that's what we like too. So I think we found a common ground there. Right. And they were really supportive of us, and they told us all kinds of stories and encouraged us the whole time. So
they're kind of like,
it was a really, really neat experience.
They're kind of like normal guys until they go home to their $200 million house, right?
Right. All their gold records on the wall.
Right,
so,
exactly. Yeah. Very cool, man. Well, dude, I have to imagine that your band is getting, you know how the press works. You've obviously been out there mixed up in it now. The press is always going to look for somebody to compare you to. And if I had to guess, and I'm guessing here, I don't know, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I would guess that you probably get a lot of comparisons to Black Stone Cherry. Do you find that to be fair? And would that kind of recognition be considered successful if your band gets to where they are?
Absolutely. We're all big fans of Black Stone Cherry. We like what they're doing. I've been listening to them since I've got all their records,
sure.
In my collection, and so being compared to one of your favorite bands is always pretty awesome,
Sure. Is that the comparison you've been hearing, or no?
Yeah, we've gotten a comparison to them. We've gotten a comparison to some of the grunge bands, like Soundgarden,
sure,
Alice in Chains. Gotten a few to Shinedown. So it's and those are all bands we like listening to. So those are all. It's pretty cool to hear what different people have to say.
Sure. Yeah, and it could be worse. You could be compared to, I don't know, Trickster or something and be like, geez.
Right. Right.
But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So dude, is Blacktop Mojo going to get out there and tour, or are you waiting to see, or how's that looking?
We actually teamed up with TKO here very recently. Cool. So working on putting together a tour starting in June and hitting the whole of the U.S. and Canada. So no specific dates yet. It's still in the planning stages, and we're still working on it. But we will definitely be getting around.
Excellent, man.
This summer.
That sounds good. Well, dude, the name of the band is Blacktop Mojo. The name of the album, or the release, I guess it's not an album anymore, but the name of the release is Burn the Ships. Where can people go, Matt, to find out more about Blacktop Mojo and, find out tour dates and all that stuff for when that does happen?
You can go to blacktopmojo.com. We got all our tour stuff up there. We got all our social links, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
You can pre-order our record. It comes out Friday on iTunes, Google Play. Pre-order physical copies off the website. And, go check us out.
Excellent.
Give us a Google.
There it is. All right, man. Well, dude, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from their new record, maybe tell us a story about it. So what would you like us to wrap this interview up with?
Let's do Burn the Ships. The title track off the new album. The reason the album's called Burn the Ships is last July when we went to go record all this stuff, everybody in the band quit their jobs. We all moved into a house together. And the story of Burn the Ships is back when the Spanish conquerors were discovering the New World, they were about to go to war with this huge army, and they ended up, I think it was Cortez, ended up burning the ships behind all his men so they couldn't retreat and go home, and they had to take over the New World or die trying,
Sure.
So we kind of applied that to our lives here and quit our jobs and just went full on to making music, and we've been doing it ever since.
Very cool. Well, let's hope that you guys conquer instead of dying. So,
yeah, amen.
All right. Well, let's check it out right now. This is Burn the Ships from Blacktop Mojo right here on your Classic Metal Show.